Australia and United States, fluent in 3 languages, double degree in film and theater directing, experimental, strong ability to capture relevant and credible moments and convey them with a bold and poetic visual style. I'm excited to talk with you both today.
Thank you.
So we have 2 films that we're going to be talking. So Molai is band 4, and then we have Kelvin Shum, who directed It Remains.
Yeah.
So I think I would love to hear from both of you just how you got into making films, and let's start with Mo.
Well, I studied film.
Mhm.
I studied film in university for my degree, and however, I after graduation, I actually did a lot of theater work.
Yeah.
So I became an actor, and I also directed and also writing for the stage. And I think after gathering a number of different experience on stage, I feel like I want to go back to film.
Mhm.
So I started making some independent films, and also we have like 2 prestigious short film competition in Hong Kong, which is one is called Fresh Way,
Okay.
which is organized by Johnny To, a really well respected director in Hong Kong, and also another one is IFVA, which is also incubated for new films. So I made the film, I applied it, and then luckily I won the competition, and then my luck goes on. I met Ted Robin, who became my producer of Band 4. Actually,
Oh, okay.
yeah, that's my journey.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And Kelvin, tell me.
I actually started in theater back in Australia, in Melbourne, when I was 17. I think I got into the acting kind of area, and at that stage I really loved performance. And then soon, I think in 4 years time, I kind of got into directing for theater as well. And then after my graduation in university in Australia, I went to Shanghai to do my theater degree in directing, and did there for a year or so. And then I went to LA. I went to LA, I think in 2014, and I did my degree in filmmaking, in directing. And then after my graduation in LA, I stayed there for about 5 years or so, I think. And then I did a lot of things in indie movies or music videos or commercials there. And then I went back to Hong Kong in 2020, where COVID just started.
Yeah.
And then that's where I kind of got locked down in Hong Kong, and I was like, hey, why not? Let me try and start writing a script or something.
Yeah.
And so my brother, my cousin, we both got together and we're like, okay, let's do a script about family. And then it became my first film, Deliverance.
Okay.
And then It Remains is a second film, you could call it. But then we shot back to back at the same time with my first film.
Oh, so you shot Deliverance and It Remains.
Yeah, at this we shot Deliverance first,
Yeah.
and then after 3 months we shot
Oh,
It
wow.
Remains. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been 3 years already. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just jump right into the film. So It Remains. So you wrote the whole script.
No, not for that one.
Okay.
That we actually had other screenwriters.
Okay.
For Deliverance we did. Me and my cousin did.
Right.
And then during Deliverance, the It Remains script came to me.
Uh-huh.
And then I looked at it. I'm like, it looks pretty cool. It has really experimental vibe to it that I could do.
Right.
And then so I was like, okay, let's try it. And then so we got into the scripting stage development while I was shooting Deliverance.
And
in a way,
you having experience, writing a script. When you get a script, do you then sit down and kind of edit it and talk about the characters, or what's that process like?
Yeah, I think the first thing that I would usually do is actually look at the characters. I think it's very important who your character is in the world that you're going to be building. And definitely for It Remains, it's a bit complicated because it kind of surrounds the theme and all the thing called obsession. Because everyone in it, they have a obsession towards their past.
Right.
And that was the first thing that kind of sparked me into doing the script. But then it's also like I can be very frank. Like It Remains is a very vague script because at the beginning it was a very short script as well, and the potential that I saw in it was that it could be very experimental in the way that I can create the world, in the way that I can show it visually, and that kind of got me interested in the whole script as well.
Yeah. And then for band 4, did you write the script?
Yes, yes.
Yes, so you wrote the script. Okay. I love
Wrote
it.
the whole thing.
Yeah, you wrote the whole thing. Yes, that's
It's a really hard journey.
yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
So walk us through that. So how did you, come up with just the concept
Mm.
and the characters?
Yeah, I totally agree with Kelvin. Like, characters are the first thing that we look at,
Yeah.
and then I think the second thing will be the theme, just like what
Mm.
you're asking, like the concept. What
Right.
do you want to talk about? And then I started, to be honest, brainstorming this theme is actually maybe 10 years ago or 8.
Right.
That
Wow.
was like around 2014. And then at that moment, a lot of things happened in Hong Kong, and then it makes me feel like I want to make a film to address where I'm living at. And then I wanted to talk about family. I want to. It's actually, this film is about a family, a dysfunctioned family.
Yes.
So this dysfunctioned family, they have a lot of disputes, they have a lot of misunderstanding or chaotic history, and it's basically, this family is different generations.
Mm.
Because I feel like, at least in the world that we are living in, the generation gap is getting smaller and smaller.
Mhm.
So a family is like a metaphor of a generation. So this family is about 4 generations. So I want to talk about different voices, how can come up together.
Yeah.
So I make use of a band. So
Yeah.
as a metaphor, so as to do with different voices or different sounds, how do they come together? So it's
Yeah.
like a band. You have different instruments. You're playing instruments differently. However, if you want, you can play a song together.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
is how I come up with this.
Yeah, and with that film, watching it, I'm like waiting for the young boy to play drums and for people to pick up their instruments and play together. In both of your films, there's dysfunction. I think there's it's not like a happy, everything's going great kind of story. I mean, there are moments of beauty, of course, in both of them. And just with band 4, right, you have this dysfunctional family, and then you also have the main character with the disease as well.
Yeah.
Why bring that in to the story? What for you was that? I mean, I'm curious.
Okay, ready for the spoiler. So the main character has earlier on dementia.
Right.
So this is one of the main difficulties that the family is gonna face.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, when we talk about or we think about dementia, is always relating to elderlies.
Right.
So it's like it's their problems, or until a certain moment of in your life, you need to worry about that. However, when I was doing research, I found out that actually there are a lot of cases about earlier on dementia. So it doesn't necessarily just to when you're only like after 65 or
Right.
later. It can be at your 30s.
Yeah.
So, and then I feel like, wow, this is what like for forgetting things or memories is precious for everybody. It's not just about you have to treasure it when you're at a certain age. So I kind of like, maybe I want to put it not instead of like the grandpa that he's facing.
Right.
Maybe how about as the main character, and as Yan is her like mid-30s, and also mid-30s because you still have a lot of things you want to do in your
Right.
life. You still have a dream, you want to fulfill. You still want to make your family function. However, you have to face this.
Right.
So this is one thing for the plot. Another thing, again, it's like a metaphor. As I said, I
Yeah.
really want to address the society I'm living in, which is in Hong Kong. I feel like, because Hong Kong changed a lot for the last 10 years,
Okay.
it makes me feel like actually it's a phenomenon that we all are facing earlier on dementia.
And can you? Oh.
No.
Okay. That's deep. That's very deep. So talk about. Okay. So in your mind, in your perspective, maybe both of your perspectives, how has Hong Kong changed? Whoever wants to start.
I think like if we look at it remains as well. I build a world based on suppression or obsession, and I think that's the two things that's Hong Kong is basically surrounding it with right now, is these two elements as well. And everyone is under the suppression of their emotions, and I think that's one of the biggest thing that I see in people nowadays, no matter myself or my friends in Hong Kong, my families, or anyone there, and that's the emotion that I'm feeling for them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, apart from so-called like politically or economically, I think it's also even in our daily lives. A lot of friends are migrating to else country,
Mhm.
and so it's a lot of separation,
Mhm.
and this kind of separation makes people emotional.
Yeah.
And also I would say like mistrust or
Mhm.
dispute
Mm.
or dysfunction among family or even among close friends.
Right.
So yeah, this is also not like big picture, but even in your daily life you feel this, and you have to change in your daily life too.
Yeah.
Not about your big thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great to hear that, because I can feel that actually in both films in different ways, where there's a suppression of emotion and people don't want to show their emotion, right? Like
Mm.
you, and I think there's something about great films that you as the viewer want the character to share how they're really feeling. You're like, just tell them this,
Right.
or just let it go, or whatever it may be. But that's just not life, right? That's not how we human beings survive. A lot of it is suppression. That's how we think we need to be. And talking about kind of with both of your films, music as being this release of emotion, of being able to bring people together, and then in It Remains, there's this whole spirit realm,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
That is almost like the extreme of letting the emotion out, of letting the chaos out. Can you talk a little bit about how you brought in together just the idea of these four friends on this island, and all of a sudden, all of their past obsessions come alive, right?
Yeah, I think the whole story within It Remains with suppression. Every character, they have their different stages.
Yeah.
They have their stages where the main character, he basically lost his girlfriend, which is a couple months ago.
Right.
And that's a really big emotional damage to him.
Yeah.
And then to some of the characters, they've lost their parents, they've lost their sense of belonging for one of the characters, and all of them are dealing with them in different stages. And in the whole film, we build a world around all these, and we see how they confront their kind of suppression and how they want to release it. And then, like, I want to go back a bit as well when you were talking about willing to express their suppression, because that's the vague line when I read the script.
Yeah.
A lot of I think in the first stage of the script, there was a lot of things that were very plain and direct. The characters, they chose to speak to the audiences about, okay, I was very sad because I had this kind of experience, but in the reality, we never do so. I would not speak to an audience or someone else about something that I'm suppressing within right now.
Right.
And so that's the experimental and the vague line that I took with this film as well. So everyone, they aren't really expressing, even to the audiences, like
Right.
what we are going through, the trauma that we are going through. You see it, like you saw the guy seeing the woman in the pool,
Right.
or you seeing the guy facing his girlfriend.
Right.
Like, those are things that we saw, but what exactly they're facing, everyone, I think, is trying to put a finger on it in this film, and that's the experimental part of it.
Right.
And then with the spirit world and the Halloween part, there's a lot of different folklores that we did put into the film as well. Like one of the characters, I don't her name is Sun Po, right? She's the like a more spiritual woman,
Right.
and she's the one that lost her child.
Yeah.
And within the spiritual world of some of the folklores, your children actually grows when they're in the spiritual world. So when she actually sees her child, she actually died when she was stillborn.
Right.
But then when she sees her, she's already a 4 years old or 5 years old girl. And those are the things that we actually sneaked into the film to make it a bit more I think to tap on a different kind of folklore areas in the world. And then also with the main character being able to see the spirit on the island a bit more than the others, is because he is the one that actually got the recent damage from the tragedy with the girlfriend. So then his being or his emotion is actually much more weaker than the others.
Yeah.
But then in the end, the possession with one of the actors was the guy who lost his mother.
Right.
was because that damage to him actually broke him a long time ago, and he's only concealing it, and that actually tear him apart in the island, and that led to his possession.
Yeah.
So a lot of folklores were put into the whole film.
Yeah. I and for me, like personally, watching like family drama is very intense. For some people, it's great. For me, I'm like, whew, it's a lot, right? It's triggering.
Yeah.
It's like when you feel, when you look back at, there's certain moments in your life that you felt broken, right? And whether your family was responsible for that or whatever was responsible for that, but you internalize that, and it's like how you deal with that, and what that actually causes in your life, right? And with those characters, you can sense that, and I think both of you did a really great job in putting things in the film that I was like, well, what does that mean? Like, I didn't understand. I was like, what's happening? But it's always answered, right? Like, even with the reminders, like, I'm like, well, why does, you don't know what's going on. You're kind of confused by this. And, for me being a full-time musician and thinking about, now I have a family and going on tour, and like my dream, I mean, I'm older now. My dream has always been to go and play, big festivals and like that. And then it's always it's a great reminder of like what is important in our lives, right? And a great reminder of family, which I think is always important to remember. To zoom out a little bit, I would love to talk about how you picked locations to shoot. So let's talk with Band 4. So we have an apartment space. We have kind of what I'm assuming is just like Hong Kong downtown like vibe, and then there's like the harbor and kind of this water, which I think represents in like peace and calm. And so just talk a little bit about how you kind of picked out what you wanted to shoot.
Yes, the main location is the house. Well, the apartment. We seldom have a house in Hong Kong.
Right.
We have a house for millionaires.
Yeah.
So we have but that is an an old apartment. So it's kind of like big. So it's like being bought by the grandpa, before he left the family. And so that's why, because nowadays in Hong Kong we cannot buy
Property.
An apartment for young people.
Yeah.
So so you're always just we say that, oh, if you have a parents that bought the house like years ago, then you're lucky.
Yeah.
So so we have that apartment, but that apartment is like old style, is a Hong Kong apartment, and then so you have to walk up the stairs instead of like having a lift. And also but that why I picked that is actually because it is in Prince Edward. And then it's called Boundary Street, and because Boundary Street in Hong Kong has a history, because that is the boundary in like at the beginning of Hong Kong, like it's one part of it belongs to China, and one part of it belongs to the UK, the British. So that is because
that's
of
a
this,
lot of history.
Yes, exactly. So it's like when you know history, so we say that, oh, there's a lot of hidden subtext,
right,
in the film. So and you can find out. And then so that's part of the location. And also another reason is because it is going to be demolished after we film. So I want to, again, it's like a memory. I want to make it like a
everything's a memory in this film.
Memory,
the pictures on the wall.
Yes.
I mean, it's
Well, about the art direction, in the house, it's actually history. There are 4 generations of musicians from Ted Robin in the 1960s, Kay Che representing 1990s or 21st century, and then we have Anna Hirschberg. She is the young generation, like now, and then the kids represent the future. So you have different corners of their own places that's showing their own history of music. And so, for example, that Ted Robbins, the grandpa's corner, he has a the Queens or or Beatles, and so so even within the apartment, we want to showcase like Hong Kong music industry. At least the history of Hong Kong music industry, because in 1960s we have been affected a lot by the Western music. And so that's the apartment. And then, when they were having the tour, we say, well, the tour is not world tour,
Right.
which they
Yes.
wanted to at the
I
beginning.
know. I was like, why can't they go on the world tour? Come on, fly them to England. They're gonna play the Great Escape Festival.
That's life. Life cannot be happy ever
No,
after, or
no,
you know,
it's so-
can
yeah.
achieve anything that you want.
Yeah.
But however, just what you have said is like, maybe what you want is not what you need.
Oh,
So at this
know.
moment, what you need is like stick as a family. Also, how about make a tour in your hometown, which is Hong Kong?
Mhm.
So we have a little traveling around Hong Kong, and however we show that not postcard Hong Kong, we say it's not always just central, and it's almost like your neighborhood. It's almost like when you're having a bus, a double decker, and then you will see that that tunnel is not glamorous Hong Kong, but really local Hong Kong that we try to tour around. And then at the end, of course, it's the mountain, because Hong Kong, that's one of the reasons I love Hong Kong. It's surrounded by mountains and beaches.
Yeah, looks
Beautiful.
Yeah, I think this is one of cosmopolitan, special in in the world. Like
Right.
we are surrounded by nature. So at the end, the last stop is an iconic scenery up
Right.
on the mountain.
It's like the view that people always shoot from LA.
Aye.
You know how they always like go there like in the Corvette, make
Yeah.
something, whatever. The LA scene is
Yeah.
but yeah, I love that. And then you shot on an island.
Well, I mean, we kind of built an island in Hong Kong. We
Yeah.
we used a lot of nature,
Yeah.
a lot of places. We shot in 11 locations for this film, but we shot in 17 days.
Yeah.
And
Wow, that's
yeah, we kind of ran all over the place to build
Yeah.
this sort of island. And yeah, I think one of the thing was, during the script stage, we saw a lot of memories of each of the actors, right? Each of the characters, they have to go back to their past. One going back to seeing the parents, one going back to the hospital to see his girlfriend, and then at that stage I was like, damn, if we go through all of these locations, it's gonna be like 18 of them.
Yeah.
And then so I took approach of, maybe let's do and create all of the locations in the nature,
Yeah.
which makes sense to me because they are experiencing their trauma or their past within this island, and all of these trauma and past are conjured up by one of the evil spirits. And so we created a space in the wilderness, the hospital scenes,
Right.
or
the bathtub. Yeah.
with the mother, and that's the experimental part. I try not to do a flashback, a
Right.
regular flashback, or a regular transition from one to another space, because it feels much more. It's what it needs to suppress the characters within that zone, and also the audiences as well, to let them scratch their head. And so we shot in 11 locations around in Hong Kong. We also went to some of the remote islands to do some of the B-rolls. It was crazy. It was like heart of winter, and then we were just running all over the place.
Yeah, no, I was struck by both of the locations. They seemed very, obviously when you shoot a film, but they seem very intentional. And like you were saying, experimental, even in just kind of bringing in these different spaces, and then, the apartment, the old school apartment. And I think that, those nuances are so fascinating to me because, for me, like if someone shot a Chicago apartment, I would be able to tell you this is an old Chicago apartment, right? It's like people, who know that culture would understand even kind of what you're saying, that even I would not as a, viewer. I mean, I could tell it was an older apartment. For me, it reminded me totally of a musician's pad. Like that's what I was like, because usually musicians don't have a lot of money, so they need more space, so they find apartments that kind of fit those things, which usually are not maybe in the nicest neighborhoods. But yeah, and both being now, film directors with your own films, which is amazing. What for you? So you have these films. What do you want the audience to take away when they're watching this? And let's start with Band 4.
Maybe we think about we think about what is family. I think this is a universal subject for everyone. And for example, in the film, it's not all the family members, they are like blood related. This is and
Yeah, that was a curveball, by the way.
yeah.
No spoiler alert there, but that was a little curveball. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, all right. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, so I want to to we address the idea of what is family to you, to
Mhm.
everyone.
Mm.
Yeah, and also memories.
Yeah.
How do we, and memories doesn't mean that happened in the past. We can create memories. Sometimes memories we need our own creation. It's not just waiting for things to pass and then okay, that's it. But memories means you need to make choice. You need to put time, and also with love, and so that will be the memories that you can uphold. And also I think it's not only for a person but also for a place. We need memories to hold on to it.
Yeah, that's great. And it remains.
I think for me, it was like the sense of letting go of the trauma of the past. But the theme of letting go is kind of a very vague term to me, because I think it's hard for anyone to drop their trauma or just drop out from their past, but rather where you put that within your heart.
Yep.
Because like I said, with obsession, everyone could take it to a certain limit and could go very extreme to different sort of areas. And for myself as well, I think as a director, both of my films, Deliverance or It Remains, they kind of dealt in a thesis of obsession or suppression, because even I was suppressing my emotions towards my grandma's passed away in 2016.
Yeah.
And that emotion suppressed until I probably finished both of the films. And that was the thesis that I was diving on. It wasn't only to dive on letting go, but also on the emotions or the things that I've been experiencing as well. And I think, yeah, letting audience to go with the sense of exploring back in their own past. It doesn't have to be. I never think of a film as I have to let them walk away with something.
Yeah.
But rather, a film could be a mirror, like a mirror to reflect others' being or
yeah.
what you are thinking. And if my film could let you think of something about your past or something that you do not want to face or something that you leave and you're like, I actually had that kind of emotions before. That's enough for me, because from then on, if you're, no matter if you do heal from it or not, it's up to yourself, and that's a very important thing for you to explore. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what's beautiful about art, right? We make the art not for it to be seen. We make it to express how we're feeling about a certain subject, and how people experience it themselves. We're not in control of that.
Yeah.
And I think both of these stories really hit on that, right? Of being able to look at, your family, or look at your own obsessions and your own trauma, and just conjure conversation within yourself about what is meaningful and what are some things you need to let go. I like how you said, even personally, right? Like with your grandmother, like how we as artists bring in our own experience and our own trauma and joy and happiness, and put it into our art, as a way for us, and I think in ourselves, to heal, right?
Yeah, that's for sure.
And to express, so that we can keep making great art. So tell us a little bit about being a part of Asian pop-up cinema and Sophia, and coming here, and kind of what that means to you and what you're excited about. It's great to have, I think, what Sophia does with Asian pop-up cinema is such an important thing here in Chicago. And she curates, all the films that I've seen as a part of this program have been just really excellently curated. You guys included as well. Just talk a little about coming here to Chicago and being a part of this film festival.
This is my second time back in pop-up.
There it is.
It's amazing. I mean, I was so excited, being able to come back,
Yeah.
because it's a great place to be, like to know other people, to speak with people about the films that we make or the films that other people make, and also speak with the audiences, just know what feelings are. I think the wonderful thing about like pop-up is like we get to meet audiences with different perspective in how they see your film, because as film directors we are always constantly growing and knowing from other people what they thought about your film and how we probably hit in one of what they're thinking about, or what's something that we probably did not hit. it's a great experience. And I think coming back to Chicago, seeing Sophia again, and everybody was, I don't know, it's just, I'm just overwhelmed. I'm really excited. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep, I'm excited because this is my first time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been really well welcomed by Sophia. Like last, she came to me to welcome me, and then it's intimate to me.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a very I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like this is a very intimate festival,
Mhm.
and also just as Kevin says, it's great to meet other audience outside of Hong Kong.
Right.
That helps you to understand your film more and
Yeah.
yourself, and also one thing that I love attending film festival is to meet other directors.
Right.
So
Yeah,
we
your
can
peers.
talk about
Yeah.
it's like a world. It's like
Yeah.
a paradise.
Yeah.
We can talk about films every day.
It's funny like how like in Hong Kong it's so small, but then
Right.
we actually do not get to meet each
Exactly.
other.
It's the same though. I mean, I talk about this all the time, like with people with Chicago. When we go to festivals together, that's when we connect.
Yeah.
Like even though we live in the same city, but
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like we have this concentrated time and downtime
Yeah.
to just chat about things.
Chicago, I think pop-ups is really warm. I'll use this term. Is really warmth. I feel warmth like this. Like even I just came yesterday. I got down to the plane. I'm like, wow, it's great to be back.
Yeah.
And yeah, pop-up is such a good festival to be at.
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
talk about when your films are playing this weekend.
Tonight, Friday night. yeah. My film is going to be playing tonight at 7 p.m. Yeah.
Fantastic. And then your film
Mine is tomorrow.
Yeah.
At 2 p.m. Yes.
We have Sophia in the audience, so
we're looking at her right now.
So, well, it's been great to share the stage with both of you.
Thank
and,
you.
To hear about your artistic process and making these films. Congratulations. They're both wonderful films. I suggest that everyone go and check out asianpopupcinema.org and to see all the things that are happening. The festival will be closing next week. This week? Okay. Sunday. Yeah, it'll be closing Sunday. So this is it. But we'll put the website below so you can check it out. Again, thank you to Lai and Kelvin for
Thank you.
joining us today. My name is Daniel Crane. I'm the program director for the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship, and you have been listening to another Global Industry Spotlight, a conversational series focused and talking with different filmmakers, musicians, people in the creative industries about their work, their art, and what they are doing in those spaces. Wishing everyone a wonderful end to their week and a great weekend. We will speak with you soon. Take care.